The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was one of the main movements and well-known accomplishments in U.S. history. It ended segregation in public places and began employment discrimination based upon race, color, religion, or national origin. The main goal of this movement was to decrease and eventually end discrimination in the United States, more specifically in the South. In other words, all citizens would now be viewed as equal in the eyes of the law. In states like Alabama, segregation came to the point where boycotts, marches, and more forms of protest took place. Many groups of people led several protests and movements in order to pass the act. Many African American men, women, and even children voiced their opinion. One of the main reasons for this is because blacks and whites were separated in public places like schools, churches, facilities, parks, playgrounds, restaurants, and restrooms. Protests during the Civil Rights Movement required police officers to take action and break up the protests, and some became too violent. The protests were not only violent but broadcast throughout many cities. Water hoses and attack dogs were used to control the protesters. The civil rights movements were led by many activists, but the most commonly known activist was Martin Luther King Jr. King was an inspiration to people. He gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech to support his and everyone's rights.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
The act was proposed by President Kennedy in June of 1963 and then signed into law by President Johnson in 1964. It specifically prohibited unequal application of voter registration requirements, racial segregation in schools, employment, and public accommodations.
Fellow Americans, I am about to sign into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I want to take this occasion to talk to you about what that law means to every American. My fellow citizens, we have come now to a time of testing. We must not fail. Let us close the springs of racial poison. Let us pray for wise and understanding hearts. Let us lay aside irrelevant differences and make our nation whole. Let us hasten that day when our unmeasured strength and our unbounded spirit will be free to do the great works ordained for this nation by the just and wise God.
The newspapers at the time announced the success of the bill becoming a law. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was one of the most well-known times in history. It was a period of time that people were able to voice their opinion in matters in order for society to honor the rights that they deserve.